Hello, welcome to the Everyday Life Talk Show, where we tackle the pressing issues affecting our everyday Ghanaians. Today, we are discussing a hot topic, which is should Ghanaians pay rent monthly or in advance? While some argue that the monthly payments will bring financial relief, others say landlords need the security of advance payments. I'm your host, Bitter Leaf, and I welcome you to the show once more. Today, we'll be analyzing 10 reasons why we feel it's going to be challenging for Ghana to implement this rental payments plan. Yes, I would love to pay my rent monthly, but is this something Ghana can do as a nation? What do you think? We would love to know what you think in the comment section. Our first reason will be the preferences of the landlords. Yeah, you heard me right. The preferences. Many landlords in Ghana prefer receiving rent payments in advance for maybe 1 year or 2 years because they believe it provides them financial security and reduces the risk of tenants defaulting their payment. What do you think? Yeah. So, in some cases, landlords, be it your parents, your friends, anyone you know, because of the investment they've invested into a property, they prefer having a bulk sum of money in return from their tenants to be able to settle their bills, to settle their debts with banks and loans. So I believe if you were also a landlord or you were to be a landlord, you prefer to have a bulk sum of money from your tenant to pay your debts. This is one main factor why I feel it's going to be very challenging for Ghana to implement these changes. Factor two is lack of rent control enforcement. Even though Ghana has rent control laws, the enforcement of the rent control is very weak, allowing our landlords to continue demanding long-term payments upfront without consequences. We all know how the rent control system in Ghana works or operates. We say it is who you know. Yeah. If you don't have a strong connection in the rent control, it's going to be very hard for them to enforce their laws on a landlord or a tenant. And due to these factors, uh, we can all testify that our rent control companies or rent control departments in Ghana doesn't really enforce their law, giving the landlords the opportunities to say, hey, I need my rent now, or evicting their tenant. Another reason why we feel it's going to be very challenging for Ghana to implement this is income and employment. I want you to go on the streets of Ghana and tell me, pick one city and tell me how many youths you think they are working in a well-paying job. Tell me how many youths you think they are earning above $100 a month, or let's say 1,000 cedis a month. In Ghana, the minimum wage is $20 cedis. So can you imagine somebody who is selling orange by the streets and asking that person to pay a rent monthly? How challenging it's going to be for that person? Because this same person, let's take a mother for instance. This mom is selling oranges to pay for her kids' school fees, her kids' feeding, her clothing, her transportation, and earning minimum wage, earning low income is not a guarantee that this woman will be able to pay her rent at the end of the month. You might tell me, oh, with good saving plan. Yes, with good saving plan, she can, but then that means she have to starve herself for about a couple of days or couple of weeks just to afford her rent payment for the next month. And we can all testify how difficult it is for a Ghanaian youth to even be paid after going to work for 30 good days. And you can go to work for 30 good days. And when it's time for your landlord to pay you, your boss to pay you, he's going to tell you it will be added to your next month's pay. Is this something we think is going to be helpful in paying rent every month? I mean, come on. We all know this isn't going to help, right? So if we have a good employment in Ghana, we have low unemployment rates, and most of the youth, our parents, our elderly ones, our fathers and grandmothers are really working a good paying jobs, then yes, we believe in monthly payments of rent will be effective and will be possible. But if this is not tackled, it's going to be very challenging for Ghana to go through with this. Fourth reason why we think this is also going to be challenging is because of limited banking and payment system. Not everybody in Ghana has a bank account. I can tell you my mother doesn't have a bank account. She prefers to be paid in cash than sending her money to bank. So since not everybody has access to this financial system, the payment of rent for every month is not going to be helpful. Why am I saying this? See, if you have a bank account, the landlord, you can schedule with the landlord, or the landlord and the tenant can schedule together with the bank that, look, at the end of every month, I want you to send this amount of money to paying of my rent. So it's going to be a bill payment system, right? But since most of our youths, most of our mothers, most of our fathers don't even have a bank account, how are they going to make this kind of agreement? Then the agreement is going to be by mouth, right? So Kojo Mansa or Kojo Menu, or let's say Kweku Menu, can go to landlord and say, landlord, my rent no, Matia next month on the 5th. And on the 5th of next month, landlord will come asking for the money. Kojo Menu or Kweku Menu will say, landlord, yentia mikayo. Or landlord, oh, na me expect say obi di sika bebra me mensan kan yo. This is what landlords fear. This is what most landlords fear from their tenants, which is why it's going to be difficult for them to say, okay, I'm giving my property out for rental on every month or monthly basis. Okay. And another reason why the fifth reason why we feel payment of rent on monthly basis is going to be challenging is it is part of Ghanaians now, or let's say it's a cultural and traditional norms. Ghanaians has grown to understand that paying a huge sum of money for 1 year will give you will lift off the financial burden on you, saying, okay, hey, my rent be due. So we are used to it. And since we are used to this culture, making changes to this culture will be very difficult, and not everybody is going to accept these changes. I can tell you for a fact that my mother who lives in Kumasi or my grandfather who lives in Volta will tell you, no, on to me rent no every month because of Felice and Manasum G. Okay, so this is another reason why it's going to be very difficult for Ghana to say they are implementing this. Again, this topic is an old topic. We came across this topic while scrolling through TikTok handles and our Twitter handles. And this was a post by our very own John Dumelo, the now Member of Parliament and Deputy Minister for Agriculture. He posted once on his Twitter saying, if and only if Ghanaians can pay rent monthly, it is going to be a financial relief, which is why we are having this discussion as Ghanaians to see what you think about it. The sixth reason why we feel it's going to be challenging is the demand for housing in Ghana. The landlords in Ghana dictate the terms because, yeah, if you don't rent it out, somebody else will rent it out. If a landlord is renting out a property, let's say for 1,000 cedis a month, and they are taking a lump sum of payment at the end of the year. So let's say 1,000 cedis a month will be 12,000 cedis for a year. And you come and you say, okay, landlord, do you mind if I offer you, let's say 800 cedis a month? They can be firm and tell you, no, we are not taking it. We only accept 1,000 cedis, no reduction. And do you know why? This is because there is more demand for houses in Ghana. So if you don't rent it, for sure, they are going to get somebody else to rent it. This imbalance gives the landlord the power to continue demanding the rent annually. And our seventh reason is the most important reason. I say the most important reason because that is like a guarantee for the landlords that, yeah, the renter or the tenant is able or will be able to pay for their rent at the end of the month. And this is crediting system. When we say crediting system, what does it mean? So when you go to Western countries, developed countries, they have a crediting system whereby it rates the renter or the tenant in terms of how many payments and how many payments they've defaulted or made in their previous rental. And this is rated based on their banking, their debts they are owing to people, their car loans and house loans and other things as such. I don't believe in Ghana we have such system in place. And since we lack reliable credit rating system to track the tenant's ability to make monthly payments, this make the landlords hesitate to accept such arrangements. Because what is the guarantee that if Kojo Megbenu comes to rent the property from landlord, Megbenu will be able to pay the rent at the end of the month? Because I mean, there is no record of him paying rent in the previous month or something on him that shows the landlord that this guy has good payment history. So, yeah, this is another challenge in Ghana. Why I feel it's going to be very difficult for Ghana to be paying rent on monthly basis. On this channel, we are only giving you highlights and real challenges. You can also share your views and your opinions in the comment section. And once we are able to notice the best comments, we are going to have discussions on it by the end of the week. Another reason is the economic instability and high inflation. So with the fluctuations of Ghana's economy, landlord prefers bulk payment to protect themselves from depreciation of local currency and future rent hike. Let's say a landlord goes for a loan of about $10,000 to build a property, and he is expected to make that payment of the loan in maybe 2 years or 3 years, probably. But in a case of economic instability, this loan rate, the interest rate on the loan can increase to a higher rate, which is now going to affect the landlord from their pocket, right? So they prefer having a big sum of money to just help them pay their loans very fast. And if Ghana could, or Ghana can have a strong economy, an economy with more stable finances and more stable development, more stable rates, then yes, there is a chance for monthly rental payments. But because it is difficult for Ghana to have a stable economy, the landlord will rather not go in debt and request for the monthly for the rental payment yearly, just so they can also pay off their loans as fast as they can. Next reason is government intervention. So the government has not really implemented any policy to encourage monthly rental acceptance from the landlords. The government hasn't really set up any policies of such. So since the government hasn't really set any policies of such, they rather prefer taking a huge lump sum of money to make payments for their debts. If Ghana government could intervene and set a policy where they are saying every landlord in Ghana should accept monthly rental payments, then I believe, yes, this can happen. This will be something that can be achieved. And another major reason why it's very difficult for this to be implemented is the fear of default or fear of legal hassles from the landlord. So, as landlords, most of them often fear that tenants will default on their monthly payments. So, due to this fear, they demand for a huge sum of money because, no landlord wants to go unpaid for a lengthy period, say 2, 3 months or 5 months, without receiving their payment for their property or their rental property. So as a result of this, they will rather have to maybe request more payment or advance payment from their tenants to give the landlord their peace of mind or their relief from having to chase the tenants every month for their rents. So thank you so much, and we are glad you joined our show today. Clearly, we've highlighted reasons why we feel it's going to be very difficult for these changes to be implemented. But one thing is certain is change is needed, whether through policy or better landlord-tenant relationship or economic reforms. We still need that change. So thank you for joining our show, and don't forget to like and share. Also, don't forget to follow our channel for more contents like this. And you can share your opinions on topics like this on our comment section. And during the end of the week, we are going to select the best comments and have an open discussion about this. So we say thank you again and see you next time.